So it turns out, Buck, it is like Motorcycle Safety Month. It's the first time I heard of that. Have you guys heard of
Talaga?
that? Oh,
Duda
Buck,
ko
is that
inimbento lang ni ano yun, ni Aris.
I saw Iris on CNN. Yeah.
yeah, Aris was on CNN, and he told us it was because it's Motorcycle Safety Month. But I don't know.
Ako para sa akin, dapat every month is a motorcycle safety month.
True.
Correct.
Correct. And I'm gonna start sharing. Paano makahabol si Maki? He's in Malta today. He's gonna be there for the
Oo.
next week or so.
Alam mo ba ba't nasa Malta si Maki?
Bakit?
Magko-cover siya ng DGR para sa TNR.
Yo.
Oh, social, di ba? Social! May reporter tayo sa Malta.
And magdadala pa siya ng ng modern Vespa.
Sa sobrang social, hindi ko nga alam kung nasan yung Maltang yan.
Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. I have no idea where Malta is either.
I
Does anybody-
think it's Mediterranean, I feel.
Di ba parang Spain yan? Spanish island?
Aris,
That's
Ay, hello
you-
guys.
have you been to Malta?
No. It says here it's in the central Mediterranean
Ayun.
between
Alam niya.
Sicily and North African coast.
wow.
Italy.
Oo. Mukhang siya. I don't know what it's a country. It's a state. Yeah.
Ay,
It's an
independent yan.
Yes. Republic of Malta.
You know, Maki's been all over the world, and I guess he's just like looking for places he's never been to before.
Tapos wala na siya makita.
Wala na siyang makita. Malta na lang.
Oo. Yung maliliit na island na lang. Sige, papatulan ko na yan.
Hindi, pero yan yung magaganda, Brad. Yung mga ganyan. Tapos hindi siya saturated. Kaya
Speaking of
tahimik na yung mga country na yan eh.
Aris, why were you on CNN the other day?
Yeah, si Ruth just invited me kasi it's ano ba yun? I think it's global road safety awareness month.
Global.
Yeah, it's a global thing.
Akala ko ikaw nag-invento eh.
Oo nga eh.
It's a global celebration, observance, hindi celebration.
Time. All right. Hey, Ivan, you're still on the show, buddy. All right, Ron. It's episode 150 of Tunay na Rider.
Ha?
Ganda. Parang Hawaiian 5-0.
Ngayon ko lang nalaman na 150. This is our 150th episode, man.
Ganda.
So,
Congrats.
thank you. And we've got we're going to be talking about something quite serious. And this show was brought to the idea behind this show was brought to us by a good friend of ours, Mark Sung. And he felt the need, and I agree, and I don't know why we never thought about doing this, no? To bring and highlight what you do when shit hits the fan and you're on a motorcycle. So to help us and to educate Buck and myself, si Aris alam na niya to eh. We've got our good buddy Johnny Uy, who's been on the show before. Hey Johnny.
Hi. Good evening, Sir Iba. Good evening, Sir Aris, Moto Chismis. Bro back. Good evening. Sayang wala si Maki. Good evening sa
Oh,
Malta, Maki.
Pag-usapan natin si Maki habang wala siya.
Parang sa Cardo, no? Pag walang nakakardo, yun ang pulutan.
So I had the pleasure, and Aris and Maki as well, had the pleasure of riding with Johnny. And in our Negros ride, that was brought to us by the Tourism Promotional Board, sila Sir Cesar, Philippine Moto Tourism, and it was my first time to ride with someone like Johnny, no, and it blew me away. No, seriously, I mean, Johnny is incredibly humble, but he's been saving lives for over 3 decades. He's a volunteer firefighter. He's a volunteer EMT, and he's also a teacher, which is great. And that's why he's here. Pero Johnny, what was your role ulit in our ride in Negros?
Ako yung team medic, parang gano'n, di ba? In case something happen, I'm the one who's going to treat the patient, okay? Kung may na-aksidente. Anyway, that's the reason why I always at the back. Nasa likod ako lagi.
And it wasn't just medical emergencies. If you got a flat tire, if your tambucho fell off, si Johnny was there to help out pa rin. And not only after that thing happens, sasamahan ka pa ni Johnny to get it fixed. Ano, beyond, sobrang blown away by this guy, man. Sarap kasama sa motor si Johnny.
Thank you. But we have to kasi we're trying to preempt the accident. Kaya kailangan samahan until okay na yung motor, etc. Ngayon.
So yun ang logic. If there's something wrong with your bike, that could impact your physical health. It could cause an accident not just for you, but for the people you're with. So that's part of it. It's a complete package. Galing.
Yep.
Ito lang naisip yun.
Kaya I have to accompany Maki hanggang sa pagpalit niya ng tire.
Kasi wala kang tiwala kay Maki. Napapalit
Hindi naman.
cheap out. Not the tire.
Pag in the middle of yung trip niya and then suddenly pumutok ng tire. So mahirap na. At least nandun tayo.
The best medicine is preventive.
Yes.
Nice.
And also with us tonight, we've got Alex Deacon. Alex Deacon is one of the big bosses in Lifeline 16911. And Alex, Buck just went through the course that you guys provide at Lifeline. And I think, Johnny, you were also trained, or you know the people who do the training in Lifeline 16911?
Some of them. Sa LSTI, sa school nila Deacon.
Yeah.
So, Alex, can you tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing? And holler if you want me to throw up the slides.
Yeah, well, thank you guys first so much for having me. First time on a podcast, so I might be a little rusty. Or not even rusty, might be a little off, but thank you for having me. Nice to see you, Tita Iris. It's been a long time.
Yeah, good to see you, Alex.
So at Lifeline, do we have time to throw up the slides now, or would you like to do that later? Yeah, if you could do that now, just give you a little brief background. So again, I'm Alex from Lifeline 16911. If you go to the next slide, Lifeline is actually the largest private emergency medical provider in the Philippines. So what we mean by that is that we are all pre-hospital, all EMS, emergency medical services. If you could go to the very next slide. So we've actually been in business. This is our 28th year, and over this time, we've saved over 400,000 lives. Just to give you guys a little bit of context, we typically do anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500 emergencies every single month. So we keep our hands pretty busy over here. And with that, we have the most fleet. We're the fastest in terms of reliability. And we're trying to just be the highest standard for EMS in the Philippines.
And this is nationwide.
It's actually not nationwide, which is a problem that we're trying to solve by expanding. So right now we actually only operate in NCR as well as surrounding areas like Antipolo, Rizal, Bulacan, some parts of Cavite, some parts of Laguna. Hopefully in the coming years we'll be able to expand, but I'm sure you guys know just logistically being able to get that many vehicles on the road is tough, man.
7,000 islands.
Yeah, exactly.
Magdo-donate si Aris ng mga fleet ng chopper.
Wow.
We'll hire you guys as emergency bike responders.
Oh, two of the guys here are trained na.
Exactly. That's most of the people. If you could go to the next slide really quick. So again, just to show you the amount of, this is just in NCR, so we have over 50 ambulances, as well as 30 different locations, and over 300 nurses, EMTs, and doctors who are all able to be mobilized within seconds after you make your call. And with this, if you go to the next slide, our ambulances, they're not like your typical ones. They're cars, but they're actually more like trucks on wheels. These are Ford E350, so they're the larger models, and they're fully specced out, they're fully decked out. And we consider them a full emergency room on wheels. Now, what we consider pretty good or a big selling point about Lifeline is that we actually train our own staff. And with this, as Johnny mentioned, we have our own Lifeline EMS Academy. If you go to the next slide, this is actually the people who we've just graduated from our EMT batch. So we teach our full EMTs. It's about an 8-week classroom course and then a full 8 weeks of on-the-job training. And in here, these Lifeline students are trained on all the basic EMTB requirements that are up to full international standards. But what we also do, which is what Buck did, and what we offer to civilians, is our first aid and basic life support courses.
Johnny,
what we
did you
noticed,
do like the 8-week one or anong course kinuha mo? The 8-week
Yeah,
one.
EMT basic.
Wow.
EMT
how
basic.
long ago? How long ago did you do that, sir?
Pre-pandemic pa, sir.
Nice.
Pre-pandemic, but I'm a instructor for PHA, Philippine Heart Association. I'm a certified instructor, so we
Great.
do BLS there.
You're saving lives, man. You're teaching more people how to save lives.
Well, tagal nang ginagawa, sir.
But
Yung superhero natin.
Exactly. But what we realized after this is that we can do the first aid training all we want, but for a lot of people, it's just not top of mind. And if you go to the next slide, what we tried to look at was starting a first aid training specific to schools, specific to students. And this is all the same. Our first aid course is the same as any first aid course that you'll go to. We try to have the best trainers that we can possibly have, but the content is the same because it's an international standard. You're talking about heart attacks, talking about strokes, how to recognize the heat stroke, how to deal with wrapping wounds, wrapping, sprained ankles, things of that sort. But we wanted to make it more for kids and more with things that they're familiar with. So instead of just saying a sprain, we'll say, what if you have a sports injury? What if you sprain your ankle playing basketball, things of that sort. And when we were going over this with our trainers and the people in our academy, a lot of them are riders also. And they were saying, if we could do this for schools, why can't we offer the same specialized training to riders as well? Because I think you had the same experience with when you rode with Johnny for the first time. You wanted him to be there.
Oh yeah, every ride now. Even if I'm just gonna buy pandesal, I'm like, hey Johnny, are you free?
Yeah, you want him there, and that's a universal experience. If you go to the next slide, what we're trying to do now is launch Biker Guard as well, because our EMTs, they're all riders as well. They all join their ride clubs, and it's the same thing. They always want one of them to be there because they feel more protected, they feel more safe, and there has to be a way where we can do that, and we can share that, and we can spread that knowledge around to everyone, and with the goal of having at least one rider in your ride club who knows what to do in the case of an emergency, who knows basic first aid, who knows how to call for help, and who can just be there, who can be the point person for that. So at Lifeline, that's what we're trying to do now, offer specialized first aid training for riders.
That's very nice, Alex. I mean, we should advocate that every motorcycle club here in the Philippines should have one first aid trained rider. I remember talking to one of the senators. I think that was Senator JV. I told him if he could, sponsor a bill requiring every household to have at least one first aid trained guy. Because, here, yung oras means a lot, di ba? Pagka nadidelay yung response. lalong nagiging complicated yung problem. Uh, can I ask you, Alex and Johnny, the
Yes, sir.
basic training for first aid response, how long does it take? I mean, very basic lang, parang not so complicated. Pero just to attend to one guy who collapsed here for probably heat stroke or nagkaroon ng anong tawag doon, yung sa attack ng epilepsy. So what do you do? How long does it take? How do we apply if we want to have every motorcycle club to have at least one It's
Ma-
that,
Aris, hindi ka kasi sumasama sa mga meeting eh. Si Bak nag-train na.
Oo nga. Actually, nag-train na ako pare even sa motor glide. It doesn't take long eh. Doesn't
Oo.
take long.
It doesn't take long, sir. It doesn't take long.
Yes,
At Lifeline, our course is just one day. It's a
Yeah,
full
yeah.
9 hours. Buck, when you got there, did you arrive at around 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., I assume?
Yeah.
Oo.
Yeah.
And I suggest, alimbawang may na-train kayo pare. Di ba you give them certificates? Make them
Yes.
di ba? Eligible, I mean. Pare, why don't you give patches sa mga riders na first aid trade? So we would know who to approach. Alimbawang may sumalpok, I've seen a lot of, accident victims, nakahiga lang sa kalye, walang gumagalaw, nauuna pa yung binibidyo sila eh. And so humiliating. Maganda nga nandito sila Alex and Johnny. I congratulate the Tunay na rider team. For once we have sensible guests,
Wala nga tayong sensible host, guest pa.
This is very important. This is very
Sensible
important.
Pero Aris, you know why?
Yeah.
Sasagutin ko yung tanong mo. Baka lang. Because dito sa atin sa Pilipinas, we don't have this what they call as Good Samaritan law. So they might be held liable in case something happen kapag pinakialaman nila.
No, parang hindi maganda yun eh. Paano
Kaya
kung
nga, I mean, 'di ba? The first thing they have to do is call 911. That's it. And then to stabilize the patient, wala namang gagalaw doon basta-basta. Kasi they might be
I believe, Johnny, part of your training is giving them confidence to attend to the victim.
Pero good thing naman dito sa Pilipinas, we're not like a different country. Di ba? In different country kasi medyo sensitive sila sa ganyan. Pagka hindi mo pasyente, wag mo pakialaman.
Yeah,
Sa atin naman hindi naman ganun. Kaya nga even though we don't have this Good Samaritan law, even though nasa Congress na yan, na-file na yung bill na yan, but still, hindi pa naman pumapasa. Pero hopefully this Congress pumasa.
Let's decouple the question. Okay, so one, how difficult, and let's throw Aris's question and include Buck. How difficult, how expensive is it to get trained? Alex?
Well, for the Lifeline course is priced at 1,000. We consider that a reasonable price. Our goal is to try and train as many people as possible. So we'd rather spread it out over a large population than try and just milk a few. And anyone can do it. You don't need a prerequisite skill. You don't need any type of medical experience. It's supposed to just be you can walk in. We do it every Saturday in our training center in Makati, and you can just spend the whole day there, learn how to perform CPR, learn how to use an AED, learn all these basic skills, and then hopefully just leave with the confidence that if something happens, you know what to do and you know who to call.
And this is the Biker Guard product you guys will be offering, or is it a standard course? It's separate. It's different from that.
The standard course is what we do every Saturday, so that's just the basic one. As we get more biker groups and we have more ride clubs and everything like that, as more of these people start coming in, that's when we can start going and organizing group efforts, and hopefully get a bunch of riders in at one time and do these specific courses for you guys.
Yeah.
So where's the venue, Alex? Where's the venue of yours?
The Lifeline Academy.
Aris,
Hindi talaga. I mean,
Interested na join. Tama yan. Tama yan.
yeah.
Life skill yan.
Yeah.
Tama yan.
It's
then
in
also,
it's,
guys, I'm willing to help, spread out the word. Kung may training kayo, let us know. We'll put it sa Moto Chismis. I mean, it's very helpful. Ang country natin pare, alam niyo yung health dito, yung healthcare, it's so low. Eh kaya
Yeah.
nakikita mo maraming poor health conditions nandiyan nagkalat sa kali eh. And what do? We just watch them, run out of breath. Di ba? Tulungan
Yeah.
natin. I think you guys have a mission here. Tulong-tulong tayo, di ba? Especially for the community. Alam mo maganda iba, pag merong motorcycle big gatherings, big meet, pwede kayo mag-lecture doon, 'di ba? Or ano ba 'yan?
Yeah.
Pwede ko siguro the basic one. The basic one. Johnny, to tell you the truth.
Yes, sir. Mm.
When you rode with us sa tayo, Mindoro or Cebu?
Cebu.
Yeah, riding with one of you guys just like riding with a guardian angel.
Grabe ka.
Yeah, we have peace of mind. We have peace of mind pag meron dyan. Tsaka siyempre the expert mechanics like Pinggoy, Roa. At peace kayo pag may kasama kang ganyan eh. Diba? So, we're hoping na dumami yung ranks nyo. Mag-multiply kayo. Diba?
So definitely,
Actually,
let's do a Tunay na Rider motorcycle first aid certification course.
Yeah, we'll help you with this.
Yeah, we'd love to host you guys.
yun. But you know what, Boss Iba, Sir Iba, our group have this what they call motomedic.
Yun, yeah.
Yeah, they are a medic on wheels. Because
I think Johnny meron yung angkas niyan eh, di ba? Hindi ko lang alam ano nangyari.
They were trained, pero iba
Yeah.
kasi yung motomedic na may gamit talaga.
Yeah, yun. Iba usapan yun.
Di ba? Ibang
Yeah.
usapan yun. I mean, may gamit talaga siya. We have the FEPAG or Fire Emergency Paramedic Groups, and then yung Apollo EMS. Mga volunteer groups yan, mga volunteer groups. They spend their own money para mag-invest ng gamit. Since may motor naman sila, so they responded sa mga traffic situation kapag kami nangyaring aksidente. And then pagdating nila ron, treat nila patient. So pag treat nila patient, saka lang darating ang ambulansya, kakarga na lang. So yun yung purpose nun.
Kung si
Kasi
Johnny,
yung purpose
Guardian Angel, si Buck, since trained na siya nila Alex at Lifeline.
Pwede na.
Guardian Devil yan. So Guardian Devil Buck. In the basic, the certification course that you took, what are the things that you learned that can be implemented for riders?
Marami. Lahat. Halos lahat.
Okay, done. So,
Done.
go ahead.
Simple.
I mean, nakita mo, you broke your hand recently, man. Like, did you
No
use
way.
Inayos ko
Really?
sarili ko.
Mas mahal daw
Gumawa ko
ang
ng
mas
sarili
mahal
kong
daw ang
splits.
flaring eh. Ayun.
No, seriously,
Ano?
Buck, you broke your hand. What did you do? What did you were able to implement immediately what you learned a week later, right?
Oo. Stabilize mo
Real-world
sarili mo. Number one, stabilize mo sarili mo hanggang makapa-check up ka.
I think we'll
Tama.
strike a good deal here eh. I know si Alex Deakin doesn't ride yet di ba?
Actually, I'm not a big rider. I've ridden before, just small like scooters though. I can't remember the name of the course, but I went with Mark actually to a
Mark
dirt
Song.
bike in
Mark-
Tanay. I forget the name of the
kay
place.
Coach Mel.
Yes.
Mel Aquino.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
So
Trail
I
bike.
did that, and then
So
I
you
also
ride.
I wouldn't say ride. I don't wanna disrespect anyone here. You guys are all seasoned riders, but I know my way. I know the basics.
Maski bisikleta, ride din yun. Basta dalawa gulong.
Mas delikado nga.
Yeah. Mark Sumishiro. Nag-comment siya.
Ang gusto kong next year sa summer, gagawa ko ng sarili kong course yung Mototuli. Tuli
Mototulis.
Clinic on Wheels.
Kaya akin yung Mototulis eh. Pero walang S yung sa'yo. Mototuli.
All right. So, no,
Sure.
going back, Buck, it was a full day, and sobrang sulit na yung 1,000 and yung 9 hours na, because literally a week
Yeah.
later, you fell and you broke your hand, right? You're like, I know what's going on. Honestly, I was trained also, but this was like 10 years ago when we did like 19 days and 6,600 kilometers with Sila Toto.
Oh,
But all
wow.
I remember from that training was if it isn't bleeding a lot, don't worry about it. You can wait for the next day. That's correct. But if it's like hitting a major artery and it's just broken, no matter how badly broken it is, it's painful, but you won't
survive.
die. Yeah.
Yeah. Johnny, is that correct? Is that the right way to treat that?
Pwede. Hindi, pwede. Actually, it happened, sa, sa tourism promotion board, yung sa Mindoro. One of our rider, babae siya, he fell on her bike, she fell on her bike, and then tinamaan yung niya, yung nabagsakan yung paa niya. So there's some guy there parang dinasalan. Tapos biglang hinatak. So ayun, medyo napasama ron. But eventually, naiuwi pa naman niya yung bike niya all the way from Mindoro to Manila. So, same thing. Pero may bali.
Parang wala ako na...
Fracture din, metatarsal. Tinamaan yung metatarsal niya, basag din. So, ayun.
Wow.
Okay, going...
Puro tawag dito, pain reliever lang.
Buti walang dahon.
Wala naman. Dinasalan eh.
So, I mean, in the metro, traffic is horrible. You rarely get the kind of accidents you see abroad, no? Like in the US where people are traveling at ridiculous speeds.
Yeah.
And you need you need to send in like a helicopter or no. So I really believe that this basic first aid training can really help people, can really save lives. Now, what are the most common types of motor? Like Johnny just came from saving someone today, a friend who got into a motorcycle accident. What are the most common types of motorcycle accidents that happen in the Philippines that you guys have seen? And what are like the different things that you guys can do to train people to be the solution, to help out?
Go for it, Sir Johnny. Let us know what you see in the field.
Yeah, sa akin kasi, boss, the problem is, for example, as I live in Quezon City, yung road conditions dito sa Commonwealth, grabe. I mean, even though they have this, what you call it, motorcycle lane. But then again, yung motorcycle lane na magugulat ka, malilipat dito sa kabila. So the road condition, I mean, kawawa yung motor mo kapag dumaan ka ron eh. Wag holy land, holy, puro butas. So, usually, the road conditions, and then of course, katulad sabi ni Sir Aris doon sa interview niya, they have to be trained. Maraming kamoteng rider talaga. No? So, nakakuha lang ng license, paggawa sa fixer. So, yun ang problema. So, iba talaga yung na-train. I've been riding bikes since I'm in college. Pero iba yung na-train ako eh. Yung nag-train ako with HPGA, Tiger, iba, ang layo. Akala ko marunong na ako doon. But when I train, wow, ang layo. Iba. Iba talaga. So you have to train talaga sa puntong yon. I mean, you have to be ready rin. And aside from train sa pagmumotor, maganda na rin na train sa first aid, sa BLS. So yan, importante yan. It's a life skill.
Yon. So again, I can see Johnny's philosophy now. No, increasing your skill as a rider will prevent you getting hurt, and that will prevent you needing someone to come in and be like a first aid and for calling for help. Now, maganda yung point ni Tim Owen. Let me bring that up. Motomedic is a good idea. I'm a first aider, and whenever I encounter an accident on the way while riding my bike, I stabilize the patient and call an
Exactly.
ambulance. So when
Uh-huh.
the ambulance arrives,
It's great.
they just have to load and go. Now, here's
Exactly.
my stupid question. I did the first aid training, but honestly, I don't know what the steps are. Forget about first aid, right? Let's say I get into an accident or Buck. Well, no, hopefully it's me because Buck will be the one to do the work. No, and I'll hopefully be out of it. But let's say somebody gets into an accident, you see it. What if the first things you got to do?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do, correct me if I'm wrong, Sir Johnny, but it's just stabilize the patient. Make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
But first thing first, you have to check the place if it's safe.
Yeah. Do you
assess
do
the
the same thing, sir?
situation.
So do you do the same thing? The hey, you're okay. Is that the same?
The same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Technically,
Make
yes.
sure
Uh,
make sure that the scene
have-
is clear. Make sure all of that is
Scene is clear.
good,
If it's
and
safe,
then begin your
check the
basic.
patient.
So
Yeah.
first,
Assess
Exactly.
the
assess
patient.
situation, surroundings. Make sure there's no train coming or a big
Yeah.
truck.
Not in the
sure
middle
that-
of the road or anything like
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Next step is: do you call for help at that point, or like do you call an ambulance, or do you like go to the person now and do the hey thing?
It honestly depends on the severity first of what it is. If it's something that you think that you can triage or treat there, if it's like a basic dislocation, a basic sprain, it might not be something that needs an emergency straight or needs an ambulance straight away. But obviously, if it's something
Ah,
a little more serious, then the main goal of the first aid training is just to know who to call straight away, not to panic, and just understand. Okay, if this is going on, I know that I can call this number. I know that in this area, this company is available. This company has an ambulance service here.
okay. So one, assess the situation. Two, secure the area, and then find out the level of the injury. I guess.
Yeah. Correct
And
me if
then
I'm wrong, Sir Johnny.
Usually, it's you have to secure the area first,
Mm.
and then assess the patient, and then call for help, which is you can ask the bystander to call for help since you're treating the patient. So if you see the patient, you have to stabilize it first. So when you assess it, so if it's bleeding, you have to control the bleeding. The same thing if it's katulad ng ginawa ni Sir Bak, di ba? If it's a possible fracture, let's say possible fracture, you have to put a splint on it, di ba? Parang ganun, stabilize lang ang patient talaga. And then we have to wait for the ambulance. So yun yung sinasabi ni Sir Owen. Treat the patient first, and then when the ambulance got to the scene of the accident, they just load it na lang. Pag turn over mo sa ambulance, ilo-load na lang, and then go na kagad. So that's the purpose of the motomedic as well, di ba? Quick response, ika nga.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. I see the medics saying something to the victims. I think to calm them down and probably assess the situation. Ano yung usually yung first words nyo na binibigay sa kanila, tinatanong, when yung first encounter nyo sa kanila?
Usually, papakilala mo na kami
Yes.
na we are a medic. So, pag nagpakilala
Hi
kami,
guys, I'm Johnny Uy.
yeah, parang gano'n. No, I'm a trained medic.
Actually, what it
Tapos,
is, yeah.
one by one.
Yeah.
Para to syempre, mas may feeling of ano sila, secure sila. Parang kayo,
Yes.
pagkabiyahe
Yes,
natin, dahil may kasama
yes.
kayong medic, so may feeling of security ka. So, pagkapakilala mo sa kanila, then you have to tell them what you're going to do para hindi rin sila magulat. Di ba?
Yes.
You have to, kumbaga, step by step, if you're going to treat their wounds, lalagyan ko ng tubig to kasi baka biglang magulat siya, tubig lang to, hindi alcohol to.
You have to tell them.
Parang,
You have to tell them.
yeah, to tell them na rin, especially if they're conscious, di ba? If nakakausap po rin, at least alam mo, they are conscious at hindi sila parang tulala, no? So, parang gano'n.
Umaabot ba sa point na pinapagalitan nyo sila na, ano ba, tatanga-tanga ka, kaya ka sumemple lang eh.
Usually yan sa mga lasing.
Yeah, ayan, oh, yun.
Pag lasing ang pasyente namin, alcohol ang lialagay namin.
Okay. So, Mark Song has a question here. Because, syempre, gusto niya mag-shopping. Can you guys give a suggestion on like a curated first aid kit, trauma kit? Johnny Oyen and Alex. Now, and my assumption here is if somebody's gone through the basic training, like Buck, what should they bring? And maybe Johnny, you can kind of walk us through. Like you brought a ton of stuff in your GS for us. Thankfully, we didn't have to use it. But what are the things that you bring on the daily, like an everyday carry? And what are the things you'd bring on a long ride?
Actually, daily yan. Nasa top box
What?
ko. Alaman lang ng top box ko. Yes. Alaman lang ng top box ko yung mga gear. Yung cruiser, that's why I have a leg rig. Ito.
Oh.
This is what I bring.
Yan.
It's a leg rig. But for 1 to 2 patient nga lang to.
Sandali, zoom ko sa kay Johnny. And then...
Yeah. Ito, this is my
Very
leg rig.
important
Sorry.
Nice.
Very important yan.
Okay, so
what's inside?
this is what I bring pag naka-cruiser ako. So,
What's in
andito
it?
yung mga gamit ko. Medyo marumi.
Okay.
Usual is to treat open wounds, yung mga abrasion, di ba? Pag meron kang abrasion, yung mga ang ginagamit naman natin, di ba? Siyempre, povidone iodine, which is yung betadine, panglinis. Then, tawag ito, you have this gauze pad. No? So, yung mga yun ang ginagamit para sa mga usual na abrasion lang naman, mga sugat lang naman. Ika nga, gas-gas. That's what they call it, gas-gas. And then, siguro may konting terramycin, etc. para antiseptic in a way, di ba? Para hindi tawag ito, marumihan, etc. or maproteksyonan din yung patient, yung sugat.
Do you also bring like yung mga steroidal, topical, whatever? Do you bring pain meds?
Actually, I even have burn ointment.
Wow,
you
yeah.
So part yun kasi bumbero ako. So kadalasan pagka in case na usually most of them are kapwa bumbero rin. O kaya yung mga nandidikit. Alam mo, ang daming nagiging biktima ng cruiser ko. Nadikit sa tambucho. Sunog, lapnos ang balat.
Kaya pala may dala kang ganyan.
Oo, hindi kasi maraming yung sumasakay. Biglang sumasakay na lang. Mainit pa yung tambucho.
Parang
Lapnos ang leg nila.
Doon po nagsimula mag-medic si Johnny Uy.
Partly, yes.
Okay, so Alex, what are your recommendations?
Well, everything that Sir Johnny said is basically what you should keep in there, as long as you have, your basic sterile dressing, so any type of things that you put on wounds, bandages, gauze pads. Though you have to make sure you have things, like tweezers, scissors, things like that. So all the basics. And we actually do make at Lifeline first aid kits. And if you guys would be interested, we could come up with something. We haven't made it yet, but we could work with our team and make something specific for riders.
Oh, that would be awesome. We could do a Tunay na Rider Lifeline first aid kit.
Yeah, just for you guys, what kind of things do you like? Or what works on a bike? Because obviously it's different type of bags and first aid kits we normally have.
Something that we can squeeze into our backpack. Kasi we travel light, Alex.
Exactly.
Make it very basic and something that doesn't expire early. May mga gamot ata na nag-expire early. And
meron na
talaga, yan. You show what's inside, Johnny. Yung
So,
parang, yan.
Ayan, medyo malinis-linis pa tong isa, nakatabi lang. So may micropore tape ka. So kompleto ka. You have to have PPE also, of course. You have to protect yourself also. Yung importante rin.
Yeah, lalo na ngayon.
Then,
The gloves.
lalo na ngayon. Siyempre, pinaka-importante.
mask,
Ano pinaka-importante? Band-aid. Usually, mga sugat-sugat. Di ba? Ayan.
Yeah.
So, micropore tape to dress with
Yeah.
ghost pad, etc. So ito yung mga
Wala
gamit.
bang
Ayan,
mga
ito.
wala bang mga gamot dyan para sa emotions?
Pakalma.
Actually, gamot kailangan din, yung mga basic medicine. Meron din
Yeah.
ako niyan. Alam ni Sir Iba yan. I have those.
Oo.
Yung mga usual na mefenamic, mga importante sa pag-ride, loperamide.
Yeah.
Iba, may bibigay ako sa'yo medicine mamaya.
I'll pahingi. No, the older you get, honestly, the first thing I did when we got invited to do that ride with Johnny was I went to Mercury. And I got paracetamol, I got Bonamine, I got because the older you get, you're like, I need meds.
Di ba may kasama tayo sa ride natin, babae, nangailangan ng loperamide?
Oo, inubos
Ayun,
ko.
no?
Grabe.
Para sa nilo pyramid, ano yun?
LBM, boss.
Ay, ikwento ko lang. You know,
Ay, wala akong
you know,
binabanggit. Sir Aris, wala akong binabanggit name, ha?
Hindi natin
Mayayari.
ikwento ko lang, guys, na I had an horrible accident, I think 6 years ago. Naka-experience ako sumakay ng ambulance eh. Isakay, hindi pala sumakay. Isinakay nila ako. They took me in, para it's a barangay ambulance. As in, mayroon siyang tatak sa labas. But I thank these guys for saving me. Don't get me wrong. I'm still grateful to these people. They're from Santa Rosa, Laguna. And they were quick. Ang problema lang, you listen, Alex. Alex Dickens.
Oh, run out.
Every time I see your your ambulance, yung Lifeline, parang na-imagine ko it's a 5-star hotel eh. Pare, yeah. You tell us what's inside. What's inside? Parang sabi ko, ang layo nito sa barangay barangay ambulance that we all have. Yung mga, but talagang ganun siguro. Talagang yun lang ang budget ng mga LGU. But seeing this Lifeline ambulance, sabi ko, dapat ito eh. Dapat ito yung ano. So you tell us what you have
Dapat
inside.
ganun ang standard.
Yes, oo. Walang bababa doon, pare.
Oo,
Diba?
government facility
Oo.
dapat mataas yung standard.
Yeah.
Yo, so
Well,
Alex,
Yeah, first and foremost, we always like to acknowledge the work of the EMTs who work in those barangay ambulances, who work in the LGUs. Those guys are just as qualified as any EMTs most of the time. Again, just like you said, it's typically just the kind of budget that the barangay has. But when we look at a Lifeline ambulance, we pride ourselves, as mentioned earlier, as being a full emergency room on wheels. So I think you can just see, just looking at this photo, it's a lot more well equipped than your typical ambulance. We actually have around the 98% success rate in stabilizing the patient, regardless of the accident. If they come on board, 98% of the time, they'll make it to a hospital to be able to be treated. We rarely ever lose patients inside here. And that's because all our ambulances are fully ALS equipped, which is advanced life support. So they all come with defibrillators, ECGs, AEDs, as well as a full crew of either nurses or EMTs that can provide the full stabilization.
Sorry. What's
AEDs?
an AED? Yeah.
That's the heart starters, right, Sir Johnny?
Na automatic na.
Defibrillator.
Johnny, may dala ka bang ganyan? Feeling ko...
Wala.
Ang mahal yan!
Ano, boss? Presyo ng motor yun. Presyo ng motor.
Hindi lang basta motor.
Those things are expensive. They add up. I think just to equip the ambulance costs almost $1 million per ambulance just in the equipment.
Wow.
Even the gurney itself is just around $250,000 already.
You know, Alex.
Striker gurney.
Yes.
When the barangay ambulance carried me to the hospital, they didn't charge me. I don't think Lifeline will do that. Diba? But you tell our viewers that it's a private thing.
Yeah, I mentioned that at the
How do we
start.
subscribe to that?
So we actually have different. I'll explain just really quickly the kind of models that we do. So Lifeline, as mentioned earlier, is a private company, but we do offer memberships to people. Typically, our client base is generally older, so more senior citizens. And for
Pasok.
not trying to name any names yet or anything like that, but we charge 2,000 pesos a year in membership fee. And with that, you get free use of the ambulance in any type of emergency.
How much
2,000 a
is it?
year.
Yes, 2,000 a year.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Mura yun, ha?
Yeah, yeah.
For Tunay na
Mura
rider
yun.
listeners and viewers, 3,000 a year.
2,000.
Oo.
May cut, may
I'm
cut,
trying to-
may commission.
if you buy it through, sir, yeah, if you buy
That's very reasonable.
2,000, that's
You,
reasonable.
you send me an application, Alex. I'll fill it up right
I'll
away.
message you later, sir. But the
Mark,
problem is
libre mo
that
na kami.
Alam mo, boss, parang ano yan eh. Parang insurance yan eh. You want to
Yeah.
have it, but you don't want to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course.
yeah. In fact,
Oh,
we have so
pero
many members. We have so many members every single day. They call us and they complain that they don't want to renew because they didn't have to use it. Bro, that's a good thing.
Yep,
That's the goal, right? That you don't have to use
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Tenorio's asking how to apply.
You can go to our website, www.lifeline.com.ph. You can apply on through there. You can message our Facebook page. Someone from our membership team will contact you. But we just want to put it out there first. It's not available nationwide, which might be a turnoff for riders. But we want to just say that up front, just so we don't, make it seem like we're trying to hide anything. I know a lot of riders will typically go out of town because it's not that nice if you want to do a long ride in Metro Manila, right? So you'll go either to Antipolo or go south, go north, go wherever. So we're not in all those areas yet. But if you're looking for something for your parents or something, even for you, if you're riding as a daily commute to work, then I think a Lifeline membership it's well worth it.
Tenorio is asking about the Cavite area. Is that covered?
We have some parts of Cavite. If you give me 1 second, I can actually come up with the full thing of what we do in Cavite.
And then I'm going to ask for Mark Sung. How about the Rizal, Marilake, Martesem area?
We cover Tunay and Antipolo. Yeah,
Yon, Mark. Sasama kami sa iyo. I'll ride with you if you get this.
Yeah. Here's the list. San Pedro. These are outside of NCR. Is San Pedro, Laguna, Bacoor, Cavite, Taytay, Cainta, Antipolo, Rizal, and then parts of Bulacan as well.
But I know also, Alex, some of your ambulance are, stationed in the big schools, di ba?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, naka-stay sila sa big schools. Doon lang sila naka-standby. I see some of them, yeah.
Yeah,
Very
so we
nice.
have a lot of deals with different areas. So if you go to BGC, there's a Lifeline ambulance station there. If you go to Rockwell, there's a Lifeline ambulance station there. A lot of villages as well. And what these villages do is that they approach us for memberships. And with that, they get covered completely everywhere in their village. If anyone has an accident, they don't have to pay anymore. If you're a resident of that village, if you're in this area, it's completely covered. But that's because they have that prior arrangement with us. So hopefully we can cover as many people as possible in the future.
I'm just going to read a couple of the comments. One, I think you guys touched on earlier, Johnny and Alex. Lance Sipon asked, just want to ask, if the medic tries to help but the victim did not make it, is the medic safe from going to jail?
Yun yung sinasabi natin sa Good Samaritan law. But usually kasi here in the Philippines, hindi naman sila natutuluyan. I mean, hindi naman sila liable in a way. But then, hindi natin masisi kung if the family of the patient will sue. No? So possible din yun. So hopefully, sana maging batas tong Good Samaritan Act. And the same thing with the EMS law. I mean, EMS system, council, sana magkaroon din. So it will provide emergency medical services sa local government. Sana magawa. I mean, this Congress. May bill naman tayo para dyan. Yun, sana lang.
Magbobonet ako pag magsisave ako ng lives para di ako makilala.
Coach Moto Clyde, pwede magpa-certified instructor. Currently, certification call from Saudi pa. Saudi Heart Association.
Meron tayo sa Philippine Heart Association.
So
Philippine Heart
parang
Association does it.
if he's trained already, is there like a test?
Siguro parang may test siya. And then at the same thing, every 3 years they have to renew it. Even doctors have to renew it from the Philippine Heart Association. Yung certification nila ng BLS.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. And may magandang point si Coach Clyde. They have a road captainship module in their training. And sabi niya, all our road captains are mandatory to have a first aid kit. You know what?
That's great.
I think that's incredibly important. That when you do organize a ride, if not you, but you got to make sure that not just that, you know, you have the tools and spare parts, but somebody has to have the first aid part covered, right?
Definitely.
Actually nga, dapat dyan, Sir Iba, lahat marunong ng first aid.
Lahat.
Oo, kasi paano pag ako ang na-aksidente, who's going to treat me? Diba?
Yeah.
Wala na, babay na. Diba?
That's a good
dapat
point.
lahat.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if you
on
guys...
that note,
Oh, sorry.
Buck, tapos ka na. Maki, myself. Aris, pa-recertify tayo. Para we're responsible riders, man.
Yeah. I mean,
Tsaka si Aris, kailangan niya na subscription.
De ganito ha. I'm looking for a, retirement job because, Tito Aris is may edad na. I think Alex
Ano
knows.
ba edad na? Bata mo
ano,
pa eh. Niloloko mo kami.
sa abroad, in demand niyang first aiders eh.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually, being an EMT, actually one of the things that we pride ourselves in Lifeline as well is that if you become an EMT and you work here locally, even for just 2 to 3 years, you can go abroad almost straight away.
Yes.
Totoo yan. I can
super in
attest to
demand.
that.
You can. Did you go abroad, Sir Johnny?
No, hindi. Hindi, pero marami akong friends na EMT.
Mayaman yan, hindi niya kailangan mag-abroad.
A lot, right?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Marami akong friends na nandun ngayon. And they're earning like 6 digits. 200 plus thousand sa month.
Pero, pare, we have to tell them na nagbabantay lang itong mga to, no? Not every time may di ba? Naka-standby lang yan, but they're being paid. Yun.
Sa mga oil fields, sa mga sa mga oil company, ang laki ng kinikita nila.
Yeah. So ipilan nyo na ako ha.
And also, I mean, I would argue Aris, compared to the rest of us, would be best suited for this job because he's already closer to death. I mean, kami mahaba pa. We still have a couple more decades. Paikli na. So, okay na sa kanya mag-risk ng life niya to save other people. Diba?
Alam mo ba yung kasabihan na masamang damo? Ang masamang damo, masarap daw irolyo. Yun.
Mark has insight here.
Yeah.
He said, I remember your dad, Alex, trained and became an ambulance driver. First off, who's your dad? You have a very, very memorable last name. And yeah, did he train to be an ambulance driver?
Yeah, so my dad's James Deacon, bona fide influencer these days, but former
Ogawa for life.
Yeah, most comfortable chair ever.
Yep.
Give him the sales pitch na. But he actually did. He trained for that. Part of one of the new segments that he had to do is he had to work as an ambulance driver in Lifeline. So he trained for that. He did a course. Since he wasn't actually touching the patients, he didn't have to do the full EMT course, but he did a road safety course, did the basic first aid. And for about a week, he drove a Lifeline ambulance. And you can't imagine like the type of stories, the type of runs that he had to go through. And I think this was a long time ago. Dati pa, mga like 10 years ago. And the amount of people, I mean, it's getting better now, but even just before, and I'm sure you also noticed this, Sir Johnny, some cars just don't move out of the way.
Exactly.
You're driving, you're beeping them now, and even if they have space to move over to the side, they just don't want to go. Mm-hmm. And even before, what was a big problem, I'm sure it's still common now, is that the cars tailgate you. If you're cutting in through traffic, cars will try and go and follow you just like that, right behind. Yeah. We actually train our our drivers sometimes, if they're really tailgating you fully, and you've given them the warnings, which is to brake hard multiple times, just brake very hard, and like you like don't even worry if they hit you, if they touch you, if it's actually endangering the safety. It's more important to get the patient there than it is to get bumped and taken out of action by someone just trying to follow you around.
That's a
Johnny,
really interesting point. Um, on a motorcycle, because I mean, obviously, and I've driven abroad in other countries where they're very very strict when
Yeah,
it comes to ambulances, and sometimes in the Philippines, it's nice to see more and more people parting,
it's
and
getting better now for
it's
sure.
getting better now. If you're on a motorcycle, are there things that you can do that will help the ambulance, or should you just let them be and do their jobs? Because I've seen motorcycle riders trying to be good Samaritans and kind of, waving cars aside so that the ambulance can get by. Or should you just, kind of pull over, let the ambulance pass, and then go about your business?
Personally, I believe it's best to let them go and just make it as simple as possible for them to reach their patient. But so, Johnny, what do you think? What's your
Correct. We
opinion on
don't
that?
encourage it. We really don't encourage it na we're being escorted by motorcycle. But then again, minsan kasi yung traffic talaga, no? So they could go to the corner para mapatakbo kaagad yung car. So free
Yeah,
flowing of traffic. Yun lang. Pero we don't encourage it really na escorting those ambulances. Because ano yan it's a formula for danger. I mean, accident din.
You add
Added risk.
complications, right? I
Mm.
mean, you have the best intentions, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
Yeah.
exactly.
You
It,
get
it
into an
happens a lot,
trying to
It
help an
happens a lot.
ambulance, you're causing more, or worse, if you cause an accident that delays the ambulance
Exactly.
even further. So just don't take the risk.
Yeah,
Pero may training ng ambulance driving sa TESDA from the government. They have this NC2 training for ambulance driver, fire truck driver, ganun din. The same thing. Merong training yan.
Johnny,
Uh,
patanong lang.
Hmm.
Ano yung pinaka-common injuries ng mga riders para when they crash?
Abrasion lang, may gasgas lang. Yan, yung
Yun
common
lang.
injury. Worse siguro magkaroon, katulad yung recently, di ba? Mayroong na-aksidente, bumagsak. Pagbagsak ng pasyente, nakahiga, hindi nakita, nadaanan ng bus.
Oh my God, yeah. That's-
Labas ang puso, tumitibok-tibok. Ayan, I mean, yung yung mga risk. Hopefully pag ganun talaga, kaya nga you have to tayo ka agad kung kaya mo tumayo, tabi ka na kaagad.
yeah.
Pero the usual common is abrasion, gas-gas. Yan lang. Mabalian ka, fracture, konti, meron siguro. Pero mostly, abrasion.
Yeah.
Okay.
On Lifeline's end, since we covered the highways as well, so Lifeline is the ambulance station for the Skyway, for the SLEX, the EAX, and Calax. We see that's where the accidents are typically higher speed. So yeah, for in Metro Manila, it's typically just abrasions, basic stuff, but we also see a lot of head injuries, a lot of actually like body injuries, and you couldn't imagine some of the stories that our EMTs have told us about the kind of cases that they've seen.
Off-road na lang tayo, Buck. No, okay. Sorry. Before we wrap up, we're here hitting 1 hour. I have one other question. We talked about what riders should do if they see an ambulance, and Buck, myself, and Aris have already gotten trained, and I want to be trained again. If you're not trained and you see a motorcycle accident, if you haven't gone through the Lifeline first aid certification, what should you do?
First and foremost, it's call for help.
Call for help.
A lot of people, it seems like a common thing to say, but the amount of people who just see something happen and then just walk away is astoundingly high. If you just know how to call and who to call, you're well on your way to doing good.
Yun. Johnny, what do you think?
The same. Call for help talaga. And then if siguro pinaka-the best, you control the traffic para hindi masagasaan din yung pasyente. Kung sakasakali, I mean, you have to block it. Anyway. So, depende. But that's the best thing. Call for help talaga. You have to wait for the professionals.
I have another question. Do you also have a training on crowd control? Kasi parang lalo na yung mga kumukuha ng video, do you tell them na, oy guys, keep distance, or oy, wag niyo munang kunan ng video lalo na yung muka, or yung they're in a miserable situation? Is that part of your training? Is that part of your training?
Actually kami, kapag may ambulance kami dala, tinatakpan talaga namin pasyente. We don't show it. I mean, and then as much as possible, if we could treat it sa loob ng ambulance, doon namin ito-treat sa loob ng ambulance.
Yeah.
At least there's no video, they couldn't be seen. Walang masiselang bahagi ng kanilang katawan na makikita. So, sa loob ng ambulance minsan, pagkaya naman. Then we have to load na, diretso na sa hospital, nearest hospital. Yan, importante rin yun, yung hospital na pagdadalhan.
Sino ba yung pumipili nun? Yung victim o kayo? Yung pagdadalhan?
Kapag walang usual kasi sa amin, sa mga volunteer, meron kasi nangyayari sa amin yung naka-hostage kami. Especially if walang kasama yung victim. Hindi kami pinapaalis unless may kasama na yung victim. So basically, kadalasan po, sa mga public hospital. For example, in QC, ISAF, orthopedic, depende sa case niya. Kung tingin may bale, orthopedic. No? ISAF, Jose Reyes. Pero kung mismo victim, conscious naman, at sinabi niya, dali mo ako sa St. Luke's. Dali namin St. Luke's. So the victim could request naman with which hospital she wanted to go.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna... go ahead, Buck.
Pag si Johnny Uy ang nag-rescue sa akin, pwede ba ako mag-request? Johnny Uy, drive-thru muna tayo sa Burger King.
Pwede. Pwede yan. Oh, pwede.
So we've tackled a few kind of dark things today, no? But again, it's all in aid for making us more responsible and better riders. I want to end the show on a high note. And I want to ask Alex and Johnny, what's the most rewarding thing about what you guys are doing? Alex?
Are you guys familiar with how it works for when you learn any type of martial art? It's typically the kind of people who know how to fight that generally never want to actually get into a bar fight, get into a street fight. The ones who are actually trained and the ones who actually go through this, they're never the ones who want to do it. And I think that's what we're trying to do with first aid and what we're trying to bring over to our biker guard programs is that if you're actually more aware of what happens, if you know the kind of injuries that can happen, if you know how to treat it, as a result, you're less likely to, number one, be more dangerous on the road. You're less likely to, cut people off. You'd rather be a safer driver because you know the risks now. And I think that's what we're trying to do. It's not just, to do a course or to do this. It's to educate the entire riding public and to change the whole mindset. If you can make one person understand how it works and the dangers of it, you can eventually get to everyone. It'll take time, but for me, that's the most rewarding part.
Yon. But if I knew all the risks with riding, I'd never ride. So ignorance, it's good to be a little ignorant.
Maybe when you're starting.
That's why you have to train. Di ba? Sabi nga ni Sir Aris, you have to train.
Correct. Ikaw, Johnny, what's the most rewarding part about being Aris's guardian angel?
Hindi. Alam mo ba, ako yung experience ko sa fire, actually more on sa fire, hindi sa pagiging medic. No? Yung sa fire, one time we have this fire sa mga shanties, puro mga squatters area. We call it informal settlers. So what happened is, this fire, ubos ang bahay niya. Sunog na sunog. Ubos. Pero alam mo to the point, paglabas namin doon sa fire scene, nakita niya kami, umutang pa siya sa kapitbahay niya ng soft drinks para lang mapainom kami. Yun yung parang pinaka-heartwarming sa akin. Alam mo, wala sila. Until now, nakatatak sa akin yun. Dahil walang-wala sila, but still, they were so happy that we responded to them At even though nasunugan sila, kaya yun yung tumatak sa akin until now. Kaya parang iba yung hinahanap kong satisfaction, correct. Kapag ka nakakatulong, nakakatuwa. Kasi walang-wala eh. Inutang pa nila sa kapitbahay nila sa sari-sari store para lang mapainumin kami. Yun lang. I mean, that's the most rewarding thing. Soft drinks lang katapat. Say thank you. Tuwan-tuwa kami. Mga volunteer kami. Tuwan-tuwa kami. Mabababaw ang kaligayahan namin.
There's a lot of crappy things you can say about Filipinos, no? But honestly, the farther away you are from the metro, the less people they have, the more generous they are.
Yeah.
That's
It's
true.
crazy, and you learn that as a rider, no? Kung nasa bundok ka and all they have is like a kalabaw and a nipa hut, pare, they'll give you whatever food they have, man. And
Yeah,
that's why
Filipino hospitality.
Inuubos namin yung pagkain nila eh. On that note, any words of wisdom that you guys want to impart on our podcast and live stream listeners? Alex.
If you guys are interested in anything we talked about today, you can either message me directly, you can message my Facebook, or you could go to our Lifeline page, either the Lifeline 16911 or the Lifeline EMS Academy, and inquire about how you can take the course, how you can get educated, and how you can learn to be a hero.
Yon.
Be a hero. I like
Be
that.
a hero. Like Johnny Oy.
Hindi naman. Grabe.
So any words of wisdom, Johnny?
Ay, sorry. Words of wisdom. It's not too late to learn. Katulad ni Aris, no? It's not too late to learn. Hindi, kasi it's a life skill eh. It's a life skill. When I teach us before sa isang school, even mga kasambahay nila tinuturuan namin ng BLS. Why? If something happened to their boss, to amo nila, na sabihin natin obese, etc. Worst come to worst, hopefully ma-revive siya nung kasambahay. So it's a life skill talaga that everybody should learn. Everyone, di ba? Everyone should learn those basic life support, first aid, etc. No? So, merong story yan eh. Nung malaman ng boss niya na natuto siyang mag BLS, you know what? Tinaasan ng sahod niya. Yung kasambahay na yun, tinaasan ng sahod niya. Kaya nakakatuwa. I mean, one of the stories na true story yan. Yun lang.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm envious that Bucks got certification. Aris, pa-recertify tayo.
Oo. Hindi, alam nyo, tama sila, Johnny and Alex. Hindi porken kumuha ka 10 years ago, yun na yun eh.
Yes, nababago yan eh. Binabago.
The pressure course. Makakalimutan mo yun kasi hindi all the day may nire-respond ka na victim yun. Makakalimutan
Saka iba na nung araw.
Yeah.
Ngayon, iba na rin ang approach.
But pag mga matatagal na panahon ng topic, si Aris tinitingnan mo.
Pero Johnny.
Iba na approach ngayon, boss. Iba na approach.
Johnny, yung mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, hindi nagbabago yun, ano?
Hindi na ginagamit yun.
Hindi na ginagamit yun, Aris.
Hindi naman ginagamit yun.
No, because
Ayaw na ni Aris, hindi na raw ginagamit eh.
timing
Boss Harry, simula nung pandemic, wala nang nagma-mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
Si Aris lang. Si Aris lang.
Ayaw.
Lalo na pag guwapo.
Ayaw na mag-training, oh.
Ayaw na mag-training. Wala pala nun.
Hindi, meron namang ginagamit ngayon. Yung mga EMTs, meron kami tinatawag na ambubag or ano ba tawag?
CPR
I forgot the CPR mask pwede. So, basically, hindi na mouth-to-mouth kasi merong baka mahawa tayo, di ba?
Yeah.
Due to pandemic, COVID.
Pero hindi ko alam yun, oh. Wala na pala nun. Well, that's good to know.
Kaya nga nababago yan, every 5 years binabago. Binabago ng PHA, on our part PHA, Philippine Heart Association. Every 5 years, nagkakaroon ng revision. Ayan.
Tsaka hindi na nga staying alive ang kinakanta pag nagsi-CPR eh.
Ano na?
Iba na, may mga modern songs na sila.
Actually, meron naman. Meron. May kakaiba. Meron din yung sa Star Wars, pwede rin yun.
All right. on that note, again, you guys are awesome. You guys save lives, and I agree with what Aris said earlier in the show. It's about time we had some sensible people on the show, and buti may naloko tayo.
Marami na naman magagalit sa atin.
Hindi,
Grabe.
hindi kasi di nila alam kung ano yung show kasi natin.
Oo nga.
Hindi.
Hindi, alam ni
Hindi.
Johnny, pero ganun ka bait si
Sanay
Johnny.
na ako. Sanay na ako.
Away na naman tayo niyan.
Swerte pala sila Malu at sila Raymond.
Yeah.
Oo
Kapitbahay.
nga.
Oo nga. Lipat na tayo doon sa subdivision nila, pare.
Yeah.
All right, and that was our episode. Ivan, take us out.
Alright.
Hindi nakahabol si Maki.
Oo nga.
Umabot. Sayang.
Next week, we have a Malta DGR feature special from Maki Aganon. And I think we're going to have Maniniots. How do you pronounce that, Buck?
Money
Manyunyuts.
mute. Okay, with
Maniniots.
the long mute, youth. Very important.
Maniniyot.
Mangiyot.
From all over.
Sino yun?
Wait, Alex, stay,
What?
hang on na, Alex.
Yeah, of course.
And also,
After
Johnny,
party.
diyan ka muna, Johnny.
After
Yes,
party.
Boss Aris. Oo ba?
I'll
Dito
send
lang
you
ako.
some-
Dito lang.
Uy, thank you PNA
Grabe
150 episodes, oh.
Oo,
nga.
parang ano,
Congrats.
Hawaii Five-O, no?
Doon ako nakalimutan na tayo nila. Ay, meron palang ganitong show. Hindi pa na